Welcome to episode 4 of the Gym Podcast. In our first episode, we looked at striving for greatness, being great in everything that we do, because why not, right? We're guys, that's what we do. We really want to drill into that on this one specifically. Look, we're the Gym Podcast for a reason. Godly young men, yes, but we're going to talk about gym stuff. And that's what this episode is all about today, is the importance of working out, tips and tricks along the way, some faux pas that you don't want to make at the gym, just a lot of cool things that we think are helpful. We would love your feedback. Maybe some things that as we go along you say, oh, they missed this part, or this is a faux pas, this is something that I hate at the gym, or I don't even know how to get started. Let us know. We'd love to know and to have your feedback. But Will, I want to start with you. Why is working out so important?
Sure, and obviously there's going to be a lot of people that are out in the world that are going to say, look, this is really something kind of extra, right? It really doesn't matter. It's great if you want to work out and exercise, but that's not really for everybody.
Right.
It's our opinion. I think we share this opinion that it should be at least something specifically for young men that everybody at least strives to obtain some level of health, some level of working out and exercising. Again, I don't want to speak for you. I personally don't think it is just something that is, extra. If you want to do it, great, but not everybody has to. Now,
it's not for everybody. Yeah.
Right. I disagree with that. I do think it is specifically for young men. We're the Godly Young Men Podcast. I do think it's for every young man.
Sure.
And one of the reasons why, you asked the question, why is working out so important? If you think about the age demographic that we're kind of speaking to, 15 to 25, kind of in that age range, it's really kind of about developing the habit, right? Habits are very, very hard to develop for a lot of young men.
Right.
We can kind of just, get into doing the things that we want to do, and the hard work habits, the habits of doing things that maybe we don't enjoy as much, kind of difficult to set. You think about if you're a 15-year-old and you really get into the habit of exercising, you get into the habit of working out at 15, man, what is that going to be like when you're 25?
That's right.
If you really stick with it. So, for instance, for myself, and I'll let you kind of speak to your how you were growing up. For me, I didn't really have a working out habit until I really hit age 19, maybe 20.
Sure.
It was something I did off and on. I did cardio exercise, playing basketball and stuff. But as far as making it a part of my week, 4 or 5 times a week to exercise, really didn't develop that habit until I was 19 or 20. And it's something that, again, you just think if you're 15 and you start that habit now, what does that look like in 10 years?
Yeah, no doubt.
On the alternative, let's say you wait till you're 20, 25, 30. Eventually, you're going to run out of time to develop that habit.
That's right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, because you get kids, you get families, you get a lot of things that now are in the way, and that's me. Grew up playing hockey, of course, and so I didn't really need to work out because I was playing hockey.
Had a lot of cardio.
Four or 5 times a week. It was a lot of cardio, a lot of leg workout. I mean, it was, my upper body wasn't jacked because it doesn't take that for hockey, but I was in really good shape because of that.
Right.
And played sports. I mean, you and I played sports a bunch and just for fun, for recreation. I didn't develop a good gym habit, and that bums me out. Now I'm coming to it, but I have 3 kids, and I work a lot of hours.
Your time is a lot more limited.
Exactly. My time is more limited. It's a lot more valuable. So it's one of those things like it used to be if I was 15 going to the gym, well, I got some time. Yeah, I'll do it. Now it's like I don't have time.
Yeah.
It's that much more important, though, for me to carve it out. And so at 28, I'm really starting to hit the gym, and I've dabbled in it from time to time. It's not like I've never been to a gym before. But now that my brother's moved here and he's having me show up to the gym, we're going to a rec center and 3 times a week we're going in, pumping weights for an hour, right? Also have doing exercise bike, things like that throughout the rest of the week. And so I'm really now just coming around to, man, this is so important. And it's important for a number of reasons. It's important, as you talked about, specifically for developing the habit. You're trying to develop a habit late. That's difficult.
Because you're developing it now. And again, not to beat a dead horse,
right.
Think about if you developed that 10 years ago.
Oh, man.
It'd be nothing now.
That's exactly it. And I would be in a lot better shape. Clearly, it's something that needs to happen. And I'm coming to that and realizing that more and more.
Sure.
And so part of me speaking to this, Will is obviously in good shape. I am not in as good a shape, and COVID will do it to you. But it's so important.
Well, and the important thing is you're actually taking steps to
That's
improve.
exactly it.
And that's what we're talking about here. We're not sitting here saying you absolutely have to be stick thin to be a preacher, or to be a Christian, rather. You don't have to have just be in the best shape of your life in order to please God. That's not what we're saying at all. And we're going to get into a bit later on about how This is not more important than your spiritual life. But what we are saying, sorry.
Yeah, well, we're not coming from a place on high either of, well, we're gym bros. Look, we go to the gym. We think it's incredibly important.
Yep.
We're realizing more and more, and me specifically at 28 is realizing more and more. For the 15-year-olds we're speaking to here, yeah, it's 15 to 25 is this podcast, but for the 15-year-olds we're speaking to, man, if I could have developed, this is coming from a place of kind of more wisdom on the back end of what I didn't do.
Right.
Don't be me. Get into it because it's important to develop the daily habit. There's so many other important aspects, and one of those is looking out 10 years. One of those is looking out 20, 30 years. And who do you want to be in 30 years?
Yeah, and this is something that it might sound harsh the way I put it. I'm going to try to put it the nicest possible way that I can. If you look at, let's say you're 20, 25 right now. You look at somebody who's 50 or 55, and you look at two of them, and one of them, you can tell, doesn't really take care of himself,
right.
doesn't, makes exercise kind of a punchline, right? And, just very overweight, out of shape. Or would you rather be the 50, 55-year-old that, sure, maybe he's not ripped or jacked or anything like that, but he's in good shape.
Right.
He can still play some sports. He can, he has a workout habit. He's just in shape.
Yeah.
Which one would you rather be? That's common sense that we'd rather be the one that's in shape. But again, it's politically incorrect to say that
right.
because we don't want to fat shame or anything like that. But again, common sense tells us we'd rather be the guy that's 50, 55 and in shape, the guy that can play with his kids, the guy that can play with his grandkids.
That's exactly it. You think about, at 15 you're not thinking about your grandkids, but you do think about the guy that, can you get on the floor with your grandkids?
Right.
Do you take care of your body? Do you take care of yourself or do you not, to the detriment of your future? Are you sacrificing getting on the floor with your grandkids, playing basketball with the boys?
Yep.
We just played basketball the other day, you and I, with a guy who's, Tony's in his 40s, right? Goodness, I mean, he's jacked. He goes to the gym all the time. He's in really good shape, and so he's out there kicking it with, a
bunch of 20-year-olds.
Yeah, I was going to say a bunch of 20-year-olds, and I think the youngest is 16, 17, and he's one of the guys because he takes good care of his body. Good for him. That's what we're talking about is picturing the future. Where do we want to be? And no, I don't. It's not a matter of, this sounds horrible, but there's a part of it that's like, I respect a guy who's really well put together, who takes care of his body, who is, it shows he's in control of himself.
But that's the thing. Why do you respect it? It's because man, that guy's got a lot of self-discipline.
That's right. It took a lot of work.
That guy has actually set the habit,
right.
and he's been disciplined about it. I want you to get into just a second the physical benefits of working out, because there are quite a few here. But again, the point here is not that the only way to be pleasing to God is to be skinny or to be in shape. But what we're saying is, if you can develop this habit in your late teenage years, in your early 20s, the self-discipline that it takes to study God's word, the self-discipline that it takes to avoid lust, to have self-discipline in your relationships. If you let yourself go with self-discipline with your health, the way that you eat, how much more likely are you going to let yourself go in those other areas?
Right.
This is just one area that if you can be a master of, you can take dominion of, as maybe we'll get into here in just a second. Think about what it does to just the mental aspect of, as well, as far as the other areas of your life that you can also master and show self-discipline.
And to your point, I would even say there is a spiritual benefit to this.
Sure.
Because, as you're saying, it makes the deep prayer life, and it makes the habit for Bible study, and it makes some of the really positive habits that we should be developing toward God that much easier to accomplish. If I can master myself, one of the hardest things is putting down the plate of food for me, putting down the donut and get into the gym. That's a difficult thing. And when I get to the gym and I'm showing up, wake up and leave at 5:30 and get there at 6, and by the time 7 a.m. rolls around, I've accomplished a lot.
Yeah.
That's so good for a number of reasons.
Well, it's not just mastering yourself about the plate of food.
That's right.
What's easier, working out for an hour or watching Netflix for an hour?
Right.
It's way easier to watch Netflix. Let's face it. One of the reasons we started this podcast is because a lot of young men these days are choosing video games.
Right.
And we're not anti-video game, but they're choosing these frivolous entertainment options as opposed to bettering themselves, as opposed to exercise and working out, and of course other things.
Video games give you the same dopamine rush that it would, and the same conquering that it would to go out and do hard things. Right. So it actually tricks the brain where you feel that you are accomplishing something. Well, I got this task. I got this new whatever. I think it's skins on Fortnite. I don't know. I've never played Fortnite. You get
I've played twice in my life.
I've never been on the game, to be honest. I'm out of touch already. I suppose I'm 28, so I'm showing my age here. But when you level up, when you reach these plateaus or whatever in the game, you get this dopamine rush.
Right.
You get this, wow, that's incredible. And it mimics what you get in real life. And what we should be getting in real life is this dopamine kick from, man, I went in and kicked tail. I went to the gym and got out there, did hard things first thing in the morning, and I was willing to push myself beyond what I felt capable of pushing.
I conquered. And we referenced having dominion a second ago.
Right.
Genesis 1 talks quite a bit about that, about man was designed to have dominion, and that carries over into so many other areas as well. But I truly believe for men, this is one of those areas that you can feel as though you conquered, as though you didn't just sit on the couch. You actually went out and did something.
That's right.
You have dominion.
Right. And, as we've come back around to, part of the dominion is God gave us that for a reason because it's really good for us. It's good for a number of spiritual reasons, a number of mental reasons, some of the physical benefits of working out. I mean, you get more energy from working out. You get better sleep because you're exhausted.
Right.
To be honest, you're exhausted. You've been, my muscles are really sore this morning and this is a couple days ago because it takes some time and there's science behind it. But when you rip and tear the muscles, you end up getting exhausted. You sleep better. The mental health aspect of it is
that's what I wanted you
key.
to get into. So just so our listeners can follow along, you can Google the physical benefits. It's not that hard. You have more energy, better sleep. You're a lower risk for diabetes. You're lower risk for heart trouble. All these things. You know that. Joe, specifically because of what you do, I want you to get into maybe in a bit more detail the mental side of things. Yeah. How does it help with things like self-esteem, self-image, battling depression? Get into that for just a second.
Yeah, depression is rooted in loneliness. There's a couple things. Going to the gym and being around people pushing and pursuing a similar goal is huge. Anxiety, it gives you control over something. Anxiety is rooted in a lack of control. I have no control over my life. I'm anxious over it. This gives you more control over yourself and over the things that you're doing. And so you're starting, especially if you do it. I'm a big proponent of gym first thing in the morning because you're starting your day with something already in your control.
Right.
And that lowers anxiety as well. You're also able to get out some of the anger, some of the aggression, some of the emotions, and put it into the weight. Like, let go of all of the frustrations from the day before. Prep yourself for the day.
Sure.
Going in. So I think there's that on the depression and anxiety end of it. For self-image, obviously, getting jacked, I think, helps your self-image, but it can be shallow. There's plenty of meatheads out there who are jacked, but their self-image is terrible.
But again, it's not just that you're getting jacked; it's that you're bettering yourself.
And that's really what it's all about.
You're being productive with your time and bettering yourself.
Because there's the gym bros that are still,
idiots.
Losers. They're losers, right. And that's not what we're pursuing. We're pursuing greatness, striving for greatness in every area, and this is one of those. And the self-image, I think it's so good for young men to be able to feel better about themselves physically because they are actually growing in muscle, growing in mass, getting better, not just getting skinny, but getting more defined and gaining some of this muscle. I think it's good on that end of things, but it's also one of those, it's a mental game.
Sure.
Not everybody's going to see the gains, but you do. Yep. So you can look yourself in the mirror and you can go into the gym and go, well, I don't look like that guy. I don't look like that guy. It doesn't matter. You know what you looked like 3 months ago and you know what you look like today. And man, that feels really good to see the changes and it gives you an understanding of I can change. So when you're struggling with something, we're going to get into this in a later episode, but things like pornography, I'm never going to be able to change. I've tried so many times and I fail. And I tried this and I failed. And I tried this and I failed. Working out's one of those ways that if you take it seriously and if you're consistent in working out, you'll develop change. You'll see change. That's really good to see at a young age.
Right.
That I actually physically have an ability to change myself.
Right.
You get a lot of guys in their 20s and 30s going, man, I've just tried so many times to change in this way or to do that or develop this habit and I just can't. I think this is one of the best habits you can develop to almost as a keystone habit to build on other habits.
Yeah, sure. So you're exactly right. And we want this to be a very practical podcast. We're not just going to get on here and read the Bible to you nonstop. However, with this episode, there are biblical principles that go into this. And this is not just something that, these guys they just like to exercise, so they're doing an episode on exercise. We do believe that there's biblical connotations to this. 1 Timothy 4, what does Paul say? Bodily exercise profits a little, but godliness is meant for great gain. Don't miss the overall point in Paul's verse is what? Your spiritual life is far more important.
Yeah, paramount.
Let's go ahead and state that and get that out of the way. Because there are guys that they devote so much of their time to fitness. They devote so much of their time to working out and being in the gym and doing all these things that what happens? Their spiritual life suffers. They don't pray. They don't read their Bible. Their family life suffers. They're spending so much time trying to get fit and trying to exercise that they don't spend the time with their kids. They don't spend time with their church family. Please hear us out. We are not advocating for that whatsoever.
Yeah, not at all.
If you're somebody who is going to prioritize fitness or being in shape ahead of your family, ahead of God and your church family, ahead of your spiritual life, that's not good. That's a problem. But also, within that verse, what does Paul say? Bodily exercise is profitable for a little. And you think about all the other analogies that Paul uses, right? I would imagine Paul was a pretty in shape guy, right?
Boxing, running,
athletics, running a race, all those things.
Yep.
And so, what we're trying to get across here is we don't think this is something that we can just look at and again say, that's optional. You know, if you want to go forward, it's a hobby. No, it's a way to take dominion. It's a way to show your self-discipline.
Right, and going to the gym doesn't solve all your problems. It doesn't solve all your mental health problems. It doesn't solve all your physical problems. It's not really about it solving all your problems. It's about telling yourself, pushing yourself, telling yourself, I can be great in this area. I can physically be great. I can do things that I didn't think I could do before. So we're not saying it's the magic pill to cure all to everything else, but there are these absolute benefits to working out and getting up and accomplishing hard things. That's a dopamine rush unto itself that is really helpful to tell yourself these things, and the self-talk that you develop surrounding, either I'm a loser or, hey, I do hard things. I get into the gym and I do hard things, and I think that's a really important thing. But the other part of kind of the gym that I think is really important, of finding a gym, working out at home is okay. Mm-hmm. I'm not saying I think it's good. I'd rather that than
for sure.
Exactly, that than Netflix. At the same time, I do think going to the gym is important, and one of the reasons why is there's no lying to yourself.
Yeah.
There's just no lying to yourself. I can think I'm super strong, man.
Or you can talk to your buddies and be like, oh yeah, I can bench press 200.
That's right. You walk in and you get under the bar, see what happens.
Yep. Go prove it, basically.
Go prove it, exactly.
Yeah.
Prove it to your buddies. Well, good luck. There's an immediate brick wall that you hit that you go, whoa.
I can't do this.
I can't do that. The other thing is you look at somebody else, and it's not to create envy, but it's to go, that's what I could be. There's always going to be somebody in the gym. Shouldn't say always. Most of the time, there's going to be somebody in the gym that is way further than you.
Oh, yeah.
That is way better. That is like, whoa. And those are the people that I would say probably look at bodily discipline as means of great gain more than spiritual. Like they're in the gym all the time. We're not always going to look like that.
But what you do see is that they've worked for it.
But that's exactly it. It gives you something to strive for. You go, whoa, that's what I want to be. This guy, I go to the gym the other day, and yesterday, maybe, lose track of time. And you're seeing this guy, and he's just doing these pull-ups. Boom, 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 boom. And
pull-ups are so hard.
You get under the bar, and I'm like, and I've been working out, right? No, I'm not anywhere close. And even my brother, he's been doing it for a long time, and we get under the bench, and kind of a pull-up. It's a modified pull-up, and he's crushing them, and there's no lying to myself. I can't tell.
Exactly.
Wow, I'm super strong. No, I'm not. I cannot even pull my own body weight. Something to strive for. That's not to get depressed. That's not to say, whoa, I can't do it. That's something to strive for, and to look at somebody else, and not with envy, not with greed, more with awe of they worked really hard. That's what I can be, and that's really good.
And I want to hit this point one more time, and then we'll get into the kind of the practical.
Sure.
Right? This has been the theoretical. Let's get into the practical. But one final time, I want to hit this point of self-discipline, because we talked on a different podcast before about how, and again, this is going to sound very harsh, but hear us out here. Within a lot of congregations, preachers can kind of have a reputation of looking like Santa Claus, if you know what I mean. They don't really take care of themselves. They're kind of out of shape, overweight, a lot of them.
But they are jolly most of the time.
Right, exactly. And the problem with that is once again, what is one of the fruits of the Spirit? Should be self-control, right? What does Paul talk about? And we're going to devote an entire episode to self-discipline because, again, it goes into so much of what it means to be a godly young man. When it comes to controlling lust, when it comes to controlling yourself in relationships, when it comes to studying your Bible and growing your relationship with God, it takes all these things take self-discipline.
Right.
But our point with this is, if you're not showing self-discipline, if you don't have self-control in the way that you take care of yourself, what does that likely mean about your spiritual life. It's very unlikely that somebody is just going to let themselves completely go with their health and with their exercise,
Right.
but then be really buttoned up in every other. That's just not the way it works.
No.
And so what we're trying to say is if you are on the younger, we understand there's going to be older people listening to this podcast. No problem. We're happy that you're here. But if you're on the younger end listening to this, the reason we are pushing so hard for you to develop this habit now is for what it can do for the other areas of your life that you absolutely are going to need self-discipline.
That's
Again,
right.
lust, getting out of pornography, relation, all the things I just mentioned. It is so important to develop this habit of self-discipline, and this is one of the easiest ways to do that is through working out.
Yeah. I just think it's huge because it's a physical way of everything else. And a lot of what you just mentioned, as I was thinking as you're talking about it, a lot of that is a kind of mental, emotional, even spiritual, right? Which is really difficult to conquer because there's it's kind of esoteric. It's a little out there. Like, you don't always know when you've accomplished. You don't always know how far you've come. Like, you set these goals.
It's not tangible.
It's not tangible. So your relationship with God, is it important to read Scripture? No doubt. No doubt. I think that, when we talked about that. But there's something about the physical. Like, I can't physically feel necessarily some of those benefits of growing closer to God. Like, I know here and I can feel and the Spirit's working on me and changing me. Fruits of the Spirit, as you talked about, self-discipline.
You're saying exercise and working out is tangible.
Exercise and working out is tangible. Yeah. It's a physical thing. And I can look in the mirror and I can be honest with myself. And that's to my point about the lying to yourself. Be honest with yourself about where you're at. And when you get under the bar, or when you pull up the dumbbell, you can be honest with yourself.
Right.
But the self-discipline comes from the ability to be honest with yourself and say, this is where I'm at. I have baseline. I've reached this is my threshold currently. And to push that a little further each time, that is going to help in all of the other areas that are a little more esoteric.
Yeah.
When you have a physical goal to hit and a physical way of understanding and realizing and seeing the progress of that goal, man, that's huge. And so that's why I think working out is, I'm becoming, once again, I'm not coming from a place of on high. I'm realizing more and more how important that is to the rest of my habits.
To take active steps to improve.
So we want to get into practical steps. How do we, what are we looking to do here? We don't want somebody getting injured. Hey, this is a great podcast. Let me run to the gym. I'm going to grab 50-pound dumbbells each and curl these things. And you're and heaving up and down. And the form is horrible. Look, please don't hear us say that go to the gym at all costs and be an idiot. Like, please don't.
Right.
Look, I can do that myself. I've done that myself. And it's important for me to even go with somebody like my brother. So first practical step I'd say is, if you can, find somebody to go with.
Yeah, that's really big. That's a point we haven't hit on yet. The camaraderie it builds.
That's right.
If you're a guy that you have another
big
guy
time
friend or a brother or a cousin that you can go with.
Or dad. Right?
Or dad, yeah, absolutely.
Fathers and sons. Get to the gym together because, yes, it is about in depression. Depression's rooted mainly in loneliness. So it is very important from a depression end, if you're struggling with that, to develop good relationships. What a way to do it. What a way to get into the gym and to push one another, but to also spot one another, to notice the form. So my brother is great. He's been to the gym a bunch. I have not. He's lost a lot of weight. I have not. So hey, you probably should skip this one. I've had 2 back surgeries, right? So he knows. Skip that one. You're probably not going to want to get, squat 300 pounds because you're going to snap your back, and that's not good. But he can also, he looks at my form and he kind of, straighten up your back. Make sure that you're staying. Because as you go into this one, whatever it is, you want somebody there to be checking you, to be watching you, to be helping you, but to be pushing you. And generally not push each other. Say, one more rep. You got this. And boy, you can just feel the muscles tearing. I'm not doing that without him there. I'm not doing that without him looking at me and it's like, put up or shut up, man. I have to because he's going to push me and he's going to make fun of me if I don't. I mean, there's a little bit of that back and forth, right? Camaraderie is an incredibly important benefit of it in going to the gym, but an incredibly important part of getting this down, and I think having a habit that sticks. So that would be my first practical piece of advice. How about you?
I think that's really good. The other thing that I would say is, because let's say you're listening to this and you're just like, man, I have no idea even where to even start. Let's say your dad doesn't do it, your friends don't do it, you're just completely new to it. The one thing I would say is, man, we have so many resources available to us. There's the apps, there's YouTube, there's all kind of things. So do a little bit of research. But then the next thing I would say, just get in the gym. I mean, we talked about how it's okay to work out at home, push-ups, sit-ups, those are great. I do think there's something to, because it's really easy if you're working out at home. Do a few push-ups, do a few sit-ups, man, call it a day. I'm good, right? I did my 7-minute workout for the day. It's a lot harder to do that if you're driving to 15 minutes away to the gym. You don't get there for 10 minutes and then leave. It's kind of a waste of gas, right?
That's right.
So I do think there's benefits there. So I would say just get in the gym, and I mean, you don't have to be doing the toughest stuff in there. Everybody can do curls. Everybody can, if you want to do cardio, everybody can go run on a treadmill. Just get in there. And the other thing, I'm so big on this. Think about how many 30-minute segments you have in your day. 48. You got 48 30-minute segments.
That's a lot.
If you can't devote one of those to exercise, if you can't devote one of those to working out, you've probably got some priorities out of line. 30 minutes. Most guys are going to tell you, hey, 45 minutes to an hour in the gym is probably what you need to be at. That's fine. You don't have to start there. Start at 30 minutes. Start with a 30-minute jump rope session. Start with 30 minutes of weightlifting. But 30 minutes, if you can do that, and that's the other thing I would say. So that's one thing, is make sure you're devoting 30 minutes, not that long. But the other thing I would say, set specific expectations. You'll hear a lot of people, right, that say, I want to be healthier.
Right.
Well, what does that mean? That can mean all kind of things. Well, I want to get in shape. Okay. That's very vague, right?
Define shape, yeah.
Be specific. Say, I want to be in the gym 4 days a week. Say, I want to exercise for 30 minutes a day, 5 days a week. That's very specific. And once again, to your point, if you hit it or you didn't.
Right.
If you went 4 days, you hit your goal. If you went 3, you didn't. And so set specific expectations, not so much about the results, about I want to lose 20 pounds in 2 weeks. Don't set those type of goals. Set specific daily goals or weekly goals. Again, I want to be at the gym, or I want to be exercising for 30 minutes a day, 5 days a week.
That's right.
Very specific. If you hit it or you didn't. And so again, if you're somebody listening to this, don't even know where to start, that's where I would start. Set specific expectations. Give yourself 3 months and see how good you do at hitting those goals. And you'll be surprised after 3 months the habits that you've already developed.
Yeah. So many guys, they get working out and then they want to tell everybody about their working out. Next thing you know, they're kind of arrogant about working out.
That's the other thing I was going to say. And there's a bit of gym etiquette that if you're new to this, maybe we'll share a few of those. Dress modestly when you go to the gym. Look, nobody wants to see your wife beater shirt with the gaping hole that shows, basically your entire chest. Don't do that. And I think you just kind of alluded to it. Don't be the guy that every conversation you have starts with, I went to the gym this morning, and I worked out. Like, those kind of people are the most irritating people on the planet. Well, this is about it, but you know what I mean? Like, I woke up and went to the gym at 4 a.m. Nobody cares, right? Don't brag about it. Those would be the two that I mentioned. I'm sure.
Gym selfies. Please. We're not here. It's one thing. Okay. It's one thing to take one, before or after photo, whatever it is.
Sure.
If half of your gym time, and I would say this is more to the girls that go to the gym, but half of your gym time is taken up taking selfies, please put the phone down. Use it as an audio device only where you're listening to podcasts, you're listening to pump up music, whatever it is. Podcast, listening to this, getting pumped about being great.
Right.
That's we're going to have like some audio track that goes with this really great music that psychs everybody up. But part of that is, I would not be taking those selfies to that point. The other end of it is there will be people taking selfies, specifically girls. That's something you have to guard yourself against. It's a lot easier to stay home and work out for that reason if you're struggling with less.
That is true. Yeah.
Than to go into go and ogle after some chick that is dressed way modestly. We're not about that.
That's why you go to the what is it, the YMCA, the Fairview Rec Center,
I go to Fairview Rec Center.
Bunch of older people.
You see a bunch of 60-year-olds in it. We got some younger's relative. We got some guys actually in their 40s, 30s and 40s that are there. There's maybe, by the time we go in the morning, there's a personal trainer. She's dressed modestly. Maybe one other girl that I think, is dressed pretty much.
Set your guard up against
That's all we're saying, is set your guard up. So, and go at off hours if you need to. Don't always just go to Powerhouse Gym or wherever it is, or 24-hour fitness. If you have an opportunity, that's why I went to the YMCA initially. That was in Dixon, and Jack closer to Fairview, so we went there. But we're choosing these places where you're not going to be tempted that much. I'm not interested in that. That's also part of why going with somebody that can... Look, if it's easy if I'm alone to just...
check out.
Follow across the room. If I got a buddy standing next to me or on the machine where you are and I'm right here and I do that, we better
call each other out.
Exactly. We better have relationships where we can say, hey, what are you doing? Keep your eyes down. We don't do that, right? So that's gym etiquette. Here's another gym etiquette. Do not show up with your Axe body spray all over yourself. you're not supposed to be a human candle that smells great.
That's a great point.
I'm not saying show up and smell like you haven't taken a shower in 3 days. I'm not saying that, but the guys who show up and they've gelled their hair that morning and they just look perfect and they got their Axe body spray all over them.
You can tell what reason they're there for. Right. Yeah.
Yeah, and they're usually taking gym selfies. Please, no, that's gym etiquette wise. That's not what we do. Part of going to the gym is you learn. It's the same thing as golf. You learn not to walk in somebody's line. You learn a lot of things. You don't cough or you don't do things while somebody's about to swing. There's a lot of golf etiquette. There's a lot of gym etiquette. A lot of things that matter that you probably don't know about.
Yeah.
Ask somebody. If you got a gym junkie in your life, ask them. Once again, be humble enough to say, what sort of things do I need to know about it?
And if you've got a question, again, this is a YouTube podcast show. We're on Facebook, Instagram. Shoot us a message. Let us know. If we left some out that you're like, man, I really wish they had hit this one. Let us know about it. We want to hear from you.
That's exactly it.
We're going to wrap up with a little this or that.
There you go.
I'm going to have you ask me. And this is one of those things we really want to know what you think.
Comments.
Let's see, 3, 4, we got 6 of these. Just choose one or the other that we're going to give our answers on before we wrap up. So I'll let you kick that off.
Yes, this or that, run or jump rope.
I'm going to go with jump ropes. I'm a jump rope person. When I don't go to the gym every single day, of course. The days that I don't, I always try to do a 30-minute jump rope session. Easier on the knees for me. I can, kind of watch something while I do it. Yeah. And really good cardio. So I would say jump rope. I know a lot of people would say run. How about you?
Neither. No. Neither. Honestly, with back surgery, I can't really do either. After that, just the impact.
Running is brutal, man.
I actually I would prefer running.
Really?
I like going places if we're running. I don't even mind running on a treadmill. Running is not a problem for me, honestly. Yeah. Jump rope, that just gets monotonous. You're a beast at that. I don't know how you do it. But next one, free weights or Smith machine.
Ooh, another one. I'm going to be kind of a contrarian. I prefer the Smith machine.
Really?
I know a lot of guys prefer the free weights, but it's a mental thing for me. When I'm squatting or doing a bench press, and man, if it's free weights and I know that if I just let go, it's going to crush my chest or throw my back out, it's a mental thing. Whereas I know on the Smith machine, there's some guards, it's a little bit easier. So either way, but I'm probably going to go Smith machine.
Yeah, I go free weights. I see your point. I think it's valid. I'd go free weights just because I think they're versatile and
now dumbbells I love, of course, but if we're talking the bench and squat, that's one of the things.
No, I get that. Arms or legs?
I really think I prefer to work out my legs. Arm day is really cool because after you're done, man, you're like, man, I'm so big, and then after 3 hours, it's not there anymore.
That's exactly
but
it.
I like doing squats. I like working out legs. I think it's enjoyable. How about you?
Yeah. I'm a hockey guy, so it was always my legs. So the leg day is easier for me. It still kills me. Tough to get in the car, to be honest, once you're done. But I think I probably prefer legs still.
Really?
But we do 1 leg day and 2 upper body days, a push and a pull day. And,
Gotcha.
And so there's certain exercises of the arms that I like more. But overall, as a day, if I'm doing a day in the gym, I'd probably prefer legs. Bike or elliptical?
Bike, for sure.
Bike has to be. We got a Peloton.
Well,
and it's amazing.
I know your brother does elliptical, so I don't know if he's going to watch this.
What a loser.
Elliptical just seems so lame.
What a loser.
It's better than nothing, don't get me wrong. But definitely bike, for sure. Like it's like you're running, but you're not.
That's exactly it. It just looks cheesy, man. No, and I've done elliptical, and it's actually a really good workout. Especially if you're pushing it. It's a great workout, and it's for somebody like me who can't have a lot of impact on the back. It's actually decent. But no, a bike all day.
For sure.
Bike all day. Gym or home workout?
Already kind of
hit that. Definitely gym. Let us know what you think. Do you prefer home workout? Do you prefer gym workout? Water or Gatorade / Powerade?
While I'm working out, water. Gatorade's so bad for you. Gatorade
horrible.
is just straight sugar. They have the thirst quencher on there. I think it actually makes you thirsty.
Yeah, it does.
When I've drank Gatorade, I'm like, man, I really need another Gatorade. It's probably.
I don't know if it's the salt. I don't know what it is. Well, it's the electrolytes that really help.
Sure, right.
Sure, yeah. And what about the 26 grams of sugar? Does that help
I think it's
too?
higher than 30. It's terrible.
Man,
for you.
yeah. I had a guy big gym guy that I played hockey with, and I'd bring a Gatorade. What are you doing? He'd just give me the hardest time. Do you know how many sugars in that?
That's hilarious.
It's horrible for you. Like it's a
drink
waste.
water. Drink
water. I'm water. Clearly, we got our water. Yours is filled with water.
Let us know what you think.
Let us know. Yeah. So this or that, run it back through if you need to. We'd love to know your comments on those things, and then just any general gym advice. I'm sure we missed some. Yep. This is a quick workout. I'm not the biggest gym junkie in the world that's been going for 30 years. This is fairly new to me, but I'm very aware of the concept. It's not as new to Will. He's been doing it for a while. There's still a lot of things that we're learning as we go. That's part of what makes this great. Is it's a learning process, it's a building process. We're excited about it.
In case you haven't figured it out yet, we really do think it's important. Is it the end all be all? No. Right. Or should you prioritize it over God in your spiritual life? Of course not.
Not at all. Yeah.
But we think this is a way for young men to take dominion again. We talked about this in the promotional video for this podcast when we were starting. Our culture is so comfortable with being mediocre. Our culture, especially for young men, is so comfortable with binge Netflix for 3 hours and TikTok and just do all these things. And it's like, how about we encourage young men to actually go exercise, to actually go work out? And we know a lot of young men do with sports and things. There's also a lot of young men who don't. And so no matter which area you fall into, somebody who does or somebody who doesn't, consider what it does for the physical benefits, but also the mental benefits. And again, as we started the episode with, developing the habit.
Yeah.
So important to develop that habit. It's something that we strongly believe in. But do you have anything else to add?
I don't think so.
If not, we are super excited to continue with this episode 4 of our podcast. So again, let us know your feedback. Let us know. Hit us up on Instagram or YouTube with a comment. We always love to hear from you. So with that, we will wrap up unless you got something else.
No, I was just going to say, if you have any questions about getting started, whatever it may be, please let us know.
Yep.
Not that we'll point you in the right direction.
Exactly.
We got a lot of resources. We know the people that know a lot more than us. We'll point you in the right direction, get you set up. But we would love to see young men taking control, taking dominion in this area, bettering themselves, and being the type of guys that we're proud of, to look in the mirror and other people are proud of, to see the work that we're putting in. But ultimately, we're here to make God proud. Yep. And using what he's given us to the best of our ability. So with that, we're going to wrap up this episode. Thanks for listening, and thanks for watching.